This isn't your normal missing person case. Oh no, this is a full-blown Hollywood-level scandal. And the streets, they are already buzzing. Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones' newborn baby has allegedly gone missing. And trust me, the details surrounding this are ugly, suspicious, and downright terrifying. If you follow the never-ending drama between Chrissy and Jim, you already know their relationship has been hanging by a thread for years. They've been engaged for over a decade, yet there's still no wedding in sight. Chrissy has pleaded publicly for Jim. Well, let's just say loyalty and dedication don't seem to be his strong suit. And now, with the missing child thrown into the mix, this situation just took a dark and suspicious turn. Here's what we know so far. Early this morning, rumors started swirling that Chrissy and Jim's baby had vanished, completely disappeared without a trace. According to sources close to Chrissy, everything seemed normal when she was last seen with the baby at her Miami condo just a few days ago. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, nothing. But then, just like that, the baby was gone. No one knows how, when, or why this happened. And you already know, the internet detectives wasted no time jumping in. They started connecting the dots, digging up old drama, and trying to piece together what really went down. Because let's be real, the timing of all this is just way too suspicious. First, there was the paternity controversy. Then Jim started acting weird. And now, the baby is missing. Something isn't adding up. Now, let's talk about Jim Jones for a second, because the way he's been acting, it's raising major red flags. While Chrissy has been running around, calling the police, making public statements, and breaking down in tears, this man has been chilling. Yes, you heard that right. Instead of publicly addressing his missing child, Jim was seen hanging out with his boys, cracking jokes, and acting completely unbothered. If that wasn't weird enough, he even posted a cryptic Instagram message that sent the internet into a frenzy. Sometimes you gotta. Wait, excuse me? If this man is talking about his own missing child, we have a serious problem. And of course, the internet dragged him for it. One user wrote, "Jim Jones is way too calm for a man whose baby just went missing. Something isn't right." Another said, "Chrissy is out here devastated, and Jim is just chilling. Nah, this man is hiding something." And let's not forget, the streets were already whispering about whether Jim was even the baby's real father. So is this a tragic disappearance, a cover-up, or something even worse? Because one thing is for sure, this story is far from over. First of all, yes, you heard that right. A few months ago, rumors started circulating that Jim Jones had secretly requested a paternity test behind Chrissy Lampkin's back. Some sources claimed he had been whispering doubts to his closest friends, while others said he was actively trying to get a private DNA sample. And here's where things get even more suspicious. Jim reportedly wanted the test done before signing the birth certificate, and shortly after the baby was born, he suddenly started distancing himself. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now, let's talk about the strange circumstances surrounding this baby's disappearance. According to a close friend of Chrissy, she was the last person seen with the baby. There were no signs of forced entry, no surveillance footage of a break-in, and no witnesses saw anything suspicious. So when people showed up to check in, the baby was gone, completely vanished. It's almost as if the infant disappeared into thin air. But the real question is, who would want this baby gone? As we start pointing fingers, let's take a hard look at Jim Jones, who has been eerily silent throughout this entire ordeal. Not only has he refused to speak to the media, but Chrissy herself has been struggling to get in touch with him. And this is where things take a completely insane turn. Because according to an unnamed source, someone reportedly connected to Chrissy's inner circle, this might not be a missing child case at all. This might be a full-blown kidnapping. And get this, Chrissy and Jim had allegedly been receiving threats for weeks before the baby went missing. This changes everything. If these two were already being harassed, then we need to ask who was out to get them and why. And let's not forget, Chrissy has a long history of serious drama. Over the years, she's rubbed people the wrong way, had high-profile feuds, and let's not even start on the bad blood she's created in the industry. Now, as people start piecing the evidence together, the story is beginning to take an extremely disturbing turn. So let's break it down. How conveniently quiet has Jim Jones been throughout all this? Could this kidnapping be a warning, a message, or something even darker, especially considering the financial problems Jim and Chrissy have been facing for years? And here's another huge twist. We don't just have one missing person, we now have two, Jim and the baby. What if Jim actually knows where the child is? One moment, he's laughing with his boys, and the next, he's completely off the grid. Not even the paparazzi, who are usually all over him, can seem to track him down. And let's not forget the biggest clue of all. Jim has been openly questioning the baby's paternity for months. So what if he found out something shocking, something that made him take matters into his own hands? Now, I'm not saying he did it, but if Jim Jones is involved, it would explain why he's been acting so disturbingly calm through this entire nightmare. And at this point, nothing is off the table. You may be wondering, why isn't Chrissy involved in all of this? Well, the worst part is that she was completely blindsided by everything. She has been crying nonstop, calling her closest friends for support, and was even physically removed from the police station after she stormed in, demanding answers. This woman is completely shattered. And if this was an inside job, one thing is crystal clear. Chrissy Lampkin had no part in it, which just makes this whole situation even sadder. But right now, here's what we do know. The police have officially launched an investigation. And here's where things take a disturbing turn. According to new reports, a mysterious black SUV was spotted lurking around Chrissy's condo just hours before the baby was reported missing. And guess what? Jim Jones owns a black SUV. Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions, but considering everything we know, this is not looking like a simple missing child case anymore. In fact, the next piece of leaked information is about to blow this case wide open because police are now considering a possibility that's even darker than we ever imagined. Now, hold on, because this case just got even more bizarre. The police have been working round the clock, and new information has surfaced that is making people seriously question if this was a kidnapping or if there's something even more sinister going on. Let's start with that black SUV. Like I said earlier, a black SUV was seen near Chrissy's condo just hours before the baby went missing. And once again, Jim Jones owns a black SUV. Now, I'm not saying Jim was behind the wheel, but let's be real. His behavior lately has been straight up suspicious. The police immediately started tracking the car's movements, pulling security footage, and looking for any leads. And this is where things get murky as hell, because the surveillance footage from Chrissy's condo is missing. Yes, you heard that right. The one piece of solid evidence that could have given us real answers. Gone. And let's be clear, security footage doesn't just disappear on its own. So that leaves us with a chilling question. Who had the power to make it vanish? Was it Jim? A hired professional? Or someone even more dangerous? Now that police are putting the pieces together, one thing is obvious. Whoever took this baby knew exactly what they were doing. And what they discovered next has people absolutely devastated. Before we get into the biggest bombshells yet, let's talk about Chrissy's heartbreaking reaction, because what she's going through right now is almost too much to bear. If you thought Chrissy was broken before, wait until you hear what happened next. She has been begging the police for more answers, and the moment she found out about the black SUV sighting and the missing security footage, she completely lost it, breaking down and collapsing on the ground. And then, through her sobs and gasps, Chrissy confessed something chilling. She had a horrible feeling about Jim Jones for weeks before everything happened. She told the authorities that he had been acting distant, avoiding her, and disappearing for long periods without telling her where he was going. And then, Through uncontrollable tears at the police station, she kept repeating the same haunting words. "I know who did this." Let's be honest. What kind of father acts like this? His newborn child goes missing, and instead of being desperate to find answers, he's making excuses and vanishing for days. But wait, it gets worse. Chrissy just revealed something even more disturbing. A few days before the baby disappeared, she and Jim got into a massive argument. One so bad that Jim accused her of lying about something and threatened to leave her permanently. And right after that, strange things started happening. Chrissy started feeling like someone was watching her. At first, she thought she was imagining things, but then she started hearing noises in the middle of the night. And one night, when she got up to check, she saw a strange man standing outside her building, just staring at her. So she did what anyone would do. She went straight to check the security cameras. But guess what? The footage was missing, just like the night the baby vanished. Now, let's put the pieces together. This entire situation looks premeditated, which means that someone, possibly even Jim, had been planning this for weeks. And this is where the case takes a terrifying turn. Because just as the police were starting to piece everything together, another major discovery was made. A second black SUV was just found abandoned on the side of the road. And inside, a piece of cloth that matches something Chrissy had in the baby's nursery. This changes everything, because this proves that whoever took the baby was moving them around in a second car to throw off investigators. And the fact that this vehicle was dumped so quickly, that means whoever was driving it needed to get rid of it fast. Now, the police are tracking surveillance cameras from surrounding streets, running license plate searches, and trying to figure out exactly where this second car came from. But here's where things get absolutely insane. Because after this abandoned SUV was discovered, a mysterious witness has just come forward. And according to this person, what they saw changes everything. The witness claims that they saw a man carrying a wrapped bundle. And if that bundle was what we all think it was, then this case just went from shocking to horrifying. They described the man as tall, dressed in all black, and visibly anxious as he hurried into a completely different car while wrapped in a blanket, just hours after the baby was taken. When the police displayed a lineup of possible suspects, guess who they hesitated on? Jim Jones. Hold on, this is getting too crazy because witnesses have reported seeing a man who resembled Jim carrying what might have been the baby and getting into another car. This raises the question, is Jim actually responsible for this? Because right now, everything is pointing directly at him. Just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, guess again. Jim Jones has vanished from the face of the planet, and you already know what that means. Guilty people flee. Let's be real, no one knows where he is. He's not returning calls, and his entire crew has gone completely silent. If your child goes missing, you should be out there doing everything in your power to find them. But Jim dipped. And now people are seriously questioning, did Jim Jones take the baby himself? Or, and this is where things get even scarier, did someone take Jim too? Because a new theory is now circulating. What if Jim wasn't actually guilty, but instead got set up? Let's not forget, Jim Jones has been connected to some extremely powerful people, and not all of them have good intentions. So now we have two major possibilities. Option 1, Jim was involved in the baby's disappearance and is currently on the run because he knows the truth is about to be exposed. Option 2, Jim wasn't the mastermind, but got himself tangled in a situation so dangerous that both he and the baby are now in serious danger. Either way, this is getting way too personal. And the most disturbing discovery is still to come. In part 3, we're diving into mysterious anonymous calls, a shocking new twist, and a revelation that will leave you speechless. Someone is now calling the police anonymously and claiming they know exactly what happened to the baby. As the chaos surrounding Chrissy Lampkin and Jim Jones' missing baby intensifies, social media is in a frenzy, the streets are ablaze with rumors, and even law enforcement is feeling the heat. But the real question is Who is truly behind this? Is this really about the baby? Or is there a much bigger game at play? Right now, Jim is desperate. According to sources close to him, he hasn't slept in days and has been making frantic calls, pulling every string he can, and sending messages to people he swore he'd never deal with again. If you know Jim's past, you know exactly what that means. As the pressure mounts from all sides, the situation is spiraling out of control. Social media is ablaze, the police are overwhelmed, and now federal agents have stepped in. Yes, you heard that right, the FEDs. This case has become so intense that local authorities can no longer handle it alone. Rumors are swirling that this isn't just a basic kidnapping case. There may be high-level criminals involved. And you already know, when the feds show up, it's deeper than it seems. And what about Chrissy? Since the news broke, she has been completely withdrawn. No interviews, no social media, nothing. People are beginning to wonder, what is she hiding? Stay tuned, because the next revelation is about to blow this case wide open. We are aware that we don't, but some insiders say Chrissy Lampkin has been communicating with an unidentified individual who has been providing her with information regarding the baby's whereabouts. This is where things get even more bizarre, though, since some allege this wasn't a kidnapping at all, and that Chrissy is aware of the baby's precise location. The entire situation is merely a front for something much more serious, but why would she do that? And more significantly, what is she concealing? Meanwhile, Jim Jones is going crazy, showing up at police stations to demand answers, and even hiring private investigators to look into it further. These PIs have just discovered something insane. Supposedly captured by a security camera outside Chrissy's home, the video shows a black SUV pulling up minutes before the baby vanished. The shocking part? The guy getting out of the SUV looks remarkably familiar, and others claim it's a member of the family who has already had a feud with Jim for years. It could be an ex-partner, a former business associate, or an industry rival. Whoever is involved, their involvement is too suspicious to overlook. And just when we thought things couldn't get any worse, new reports claim that Dro says a ransom letter has surfaced, meaning that someone is requesting money in exchange for the baby's safe return. And you won't believe this. They're asking for $5 million. Now, here's the thing, Jim has money, but he isn't sitting on that much cash liquid, and some sources say he's been trying to get the money together quickly. But wait, why would someone kidnap a celebrity's child? It feels like a setup. Someone knew exactly what they were doing, and now Jim has to make the most important decision of his life. Does he pay up and get his child back? Or does he call their bluff and let the authorities handle it? But let's face it, could you really take that risk if it were your child? Meanwhile, internet detectives are working overtime while Jim is dealing with all of this. Some people think that Jim and Chrissy are staging this whole thing just to stay relevant. Is there a deeper Hollywood secret they don't want to be revealed? And then there's the most terrifying theory of all. What if the baby wasn't actually born? What if this was all part of a larger plot? After all, Chrissy has been trying to convince Jim to settle down for years. Nothing is off the table in Hollywood. So we need to stay locked in, because regardless of how this plays out, one thing is certain, this is far from over. What if she's forcing Jim's hand to commit to being the man she's been pleading with him to be? That sounds crazy, perhaps, but this case keeps getting wilder, and you already know we're going to keep an eye on it. What do you all think actually happened? Is Jim genuinely attempting to save his child, or is there more to the story? Do you think the police will apprehend his ex before it's too late? Share your opinions in the comments section. We'd love to hear them. What do you think? Remember to like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you don't miss any updates. This case is far from over, so stay focused, and we'll see you in the next one.